Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Before we get into today's episode, there's something I just wanted to kind of bring up. So my channel was up for review yesterday by YouTube, and apparently my channel was considered harmful. So that means I'm ineligible for monetization. So, just conveniently enough, it's harmful enough that it won't affect how they distribute me, and it won't affect the algorithm and how they recommend my videos. It just means that they don't want to pay me. So, yeah. I'm not exactly sure what this means for the future of this channel. Obviously, this has soured me a little bit, and, well, to be honest, I'm fucking pissed. But, this is definitely going to affect how often I upload, and I might have to just consider moving to a different platform altogether. This takes a lot of time for me. This is obviously a few hours out of my day to do this, and the whole point of me doing this was to get some extra income as a stay-at-home father for a special needs child. My options are pretty limited for employment, so I had the skills to do this, and I thought I would do a good job at doing something like this, but apparently YouTube doesn't agree, so that's just something that's going on right now. But yeah, so if you're new here, welcome, and if you're YouTube, you can go fuck yourself. Now, with that out of the way, let's see what we got today. We are live.
Deep in the marshlands of Argentina, hidden from the world, there's a place known only as El Hoyo, the Eye, a perfectly circular, floating island that moves on its own. Discovered in 2016, El Hoyo has baffled scientists and explorers alike. Its unnaturally perfect shape and slow, constant rotation have sparked whispers of something far more sinister beneath its surface. Some say it's the work of an ancient force. Others claim it's a gateway, a portal to another world. Whatever the truth, locals won't go near it, claiming the island has a dark energy, one that has been watching for centuries. Is it nature's mistake, or something far more terrifying waiting to be uncovered? El Hoyo, the island that moves without reason, hiding secrets no one dares to understand. Follow for more mysteries that shouldn't exist.
Never even heard of that place before.
Have you heard of the ancient megalithic wall found buried in Texas? And it's in the city of Rockwall, hence how the town got its name. The wall is believed to belong to a prehistoric race inhabiting the Americas. It was first discovered in 1852 when 3 men were digging a home well and found what appeared to be an artificial wall. The wall is a giant rectangle encompassing more than 20 square miles long, with most of the wall being buried. The top of all the uncovered sections has a uniform height of 550 feet above sea level. Legends say the wall goes down several stories deep, with many articles that describe and photos that show what appear to be archways, steps, iron rings embedded in the stones, and openings for windows and conduits for water. Of course, there's also the claim it's aligned with the sun. Now, the gatekeepers at the Smithsonian and the agents at the History Channel claim it's all natural. Yeah, real natural, alright. We're meant to believe it's some sort of geological wonder, a row of hard mineral stones that appear to be stacked, long and narrow, forming what gives the illusion of a rock wall. Crazy how nature does that. In 1949, several stones that had strange runic characters, pictographs, and hieroglyphs were also found. Now, there's many articles throughout the past that have described this wall in great detail, challenging the idea of a natural formation. One article sharing the discovery of a giant petrified human skull, describing the size as half a bushel basket. The skull shown here is just a depiction for reference, but it's said to have the eye sockets the size of a gallon jug. The skeleton was 18 feet tall, and it was estimated that the giant himself likely weighed over 2,000 pounds. More tales of the chamber where the giant was found mention an iron bed frame, 25 plus feet large, a 12-foot battle axe that weighed 75 pounds, and scattered bones of regular-sized humans, leading them to believe it must have been the room of a giant cannibal, a common theme when you look into the world of giants. So it's strongly believed by the locals the giant did exist. People saw it, and the area was used as an attraction site for many years, and as always, it's said the Smithsonian came and took it. Of course they did. There's a strong legend that it was once a city of giants, while others believe that it was a city built to protect themselves from said giants. So the entirety of the structure has never been fully excavated or fully studied. The only pieces of stone or rock viewable to the public have been removed and reconstructed around the Rockwall County courthouse. But again, look at the symmetry. What is there really to debate here? So is it all myth or actual story? Use your eyes and the answer's clear. But let me know what you think. What do they not want us to learn about that wall?
Just more evidence that our true history has likely been buried.
And one of the mysteries I look into, on an ancient map, the famous Piri Reis map drawn by a Turkish admiral in 1513, that Grand Bahama Banks as an above-water island is shown. And what do you see running down it? An image of the Bimini Road. Bimini today is a tiny island, but during the Ice Age was part of an enormous island. The whole Grand Bahama Bank was above water. The Bimini Road is only about 20 feet deep. It was one of the last things to be covered by Ice Age sea level rise. It's made of extremely regular megalithic blocks on a very large scale, more than 1,000 feet in length. When you dive on it, it's impossible to believe that it's entirely a work of nature. When you get underneath those rocks, you see that they're propped up, they're leveled out with rocks underneath them, that the whole thing is being very carefully structured by a human being. We know that it's been underwater for about 6,000 or 7,000 years, but the question is, how long before that was it made? How long did it stand there above water at a very prominent point on this ancient island that we now call the Grand Bahama Bank?
It's very interesting.
How did they build it? The Longyou caves in China. By far one of the most puzzling ancient sites. The Longyou caves consist of 36 caves, which take up the size of roughly 6 football fields. With caves this big, you would assume that we know something about them, yet we know nothing. No records exist, no artifacts were found, no tools were found, nor graves of the workers. Well, about those workers, if there would have been 2,000 of them, it would have taken 6 years of 12-hour shifts every single day just to remove the rock. Let that sink in. Another thing is, there's no evidence that people ever lived there. There's no housing nearby, there's no indication of the growing of food, there aren't even smoke marks in the cave. So how did they even see, bro? Shit don't make no sense. And look at the details in these caves. The perfectly parallel chisel lines. Like how? So how did they build it?
How did they carve the Longyou caves 2,000 years ago directly into rock? Let's look at the mystery of the Longyou caves. They were uncovered after the locals had drained a pond, and their history is quite a mystery, although scholars have said that these ruins date back several thousand years. And it's very similar to the other stories that we've heard about cut rock temples, carving directly into the rock, and carving statues and walkways and temples and just everything you can imagine. And now you're probably saying, false history, what's so mysterious about this? You're talking about an extensive cave system, 30,000 square meters, precision carved arches and tunnels. And get this, some of those mysterious underground chambers are connected to mysterious underground lakes. This cave system could go a lot farther down than anybody had ever imagined, and possibly connect us to a hollow earth.
I mean, anything's possible. I'm just amazed by the level of masonry.
They've been hiding this from you. Episode 3, the Hypogeum of Hal-Saflieni, is an underground labyrinth carved in 3300 BC, entirely out of granite on the island of Malta. It is a marvel of prehistoric engineering and architecture that has been hidden from the public eye. The Hypogeum is a series of interlocking rooms, 3 stories deep. According to mainstream, it was used as a sanctuary or a possible burial site. But what's interesting is not the construction, but the acoustic properties within its walls, which mimic the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza. These acoustic properties are designed to alter states of consciousness during rituals. The theory is that the Hypogeum was not a necropolis or temple, but a gateway, a portal to other realms and dimensions, used by ancient priests to communicate with the divine or the dead. The Hypogeum might have been a focal point for ancient energies and constructed with guidance from lost civilizations or extraterrestrial beings. Archaeologists and site workers have often reported unusual phenomena, such as auditory hallucinations and disorientating resonances. Could this site explain how the ancient world carved into granite and moved massive blocks? Or even better, bring us closer to the mystery of the Great Pyramids of Giza? Follow for episode 4.
Fascinating.
Of all the things scientists have dug up from the ancient world, this is the one I wish I could make everyone aware of. If I had children, it's the one that I would take them to go see in person. This is the unfinished obelisk in Aswan, Egypt, and you can see the people on it. It's about 140 feet tall. It hasn't fallen on its side, it wasn't buried. It was unfinished, and this is how they used to make them. They would find a good patch of solid bedrock of granite and chisel that thing out by hand. In order to free it from the rock, they would then have to cut holes into the bottom part, and they would slip wedges of wood under there and then soak them in water, and the expansion of the water would crack it free, and then they would have to lift this 2 million pound hunk of rock up and move it to its base, which they've also found a short distance away. As for why I would show this to my children or to anyone interested in the past, is this right here. At some point after months or probably years of working the site, and you can still see the marks from the workers' hand tools, they found a crack in it and had to abandon it. For any great works from a person, from a company, from a civilization, the part that you don't get to see and that you should see is all of this, all of the abandoned attempts, all of the wasted labor, all of the dashed hopes, all of the hours and hours in the hot sun, at the end of which you just had to turn around and walk away. 3,500 years later, it's still there.
I've never even heard of this place either. Cool.
You might have to watch this one twice. This is Baalbek. And if you've never seen this place before, it is absolutely massive. Baalbek is in Lebanon. A little mainstream research will tell you that this is a Roman ruin, but I'm about to tell you why it's not. Now, the temple itself is huge, but it sits on a foundation that's going to blow your mind. The biggest of those stones is 1,200 tons, and the only thing that we have today that can move that are these mobile cranes. Now, some argue that this was concrete, but this is also not true because we know where the quarry is. It's pretty close. Ironically, Jimmy from Bright Insight posted a video of one of these cranes trying to lift a smaller stone and failing to do so. Now, the story you're going to get is that they were dragged with ropes on logs. Now, lifting the stone is one thing, but moving the stone is even harder. This is the biggest dump truck in the world, and it can only move 496 tons, and it is that big. Now, looking at the quarry itself, it appears that they could move these stones pretty easily. It also looks like it was abandoned as they were working. That quarry is also not a granite quarry, and that is a granite pillar in Baalbek. That granite is from Aswan in Egypt, a 21-hour drive today over water. On the ceiling of Baalbek, you're going to find a Star of David, which is a clearly Hebrew symbol. Inside that star is a lotus, a signature of Hindu builders. Shared this symbol with their pals, the Egyptians, who revered the flower and also incorporated it into their architecture. So who do you think really built Baalbek?
Wow. So much of our history has been
South Africa has its very own Stonehenge. It's known as Adam's Calendar. Some experts believe it is 75,000 years old, which would make it older than the actual Stonehenge as well as the Great Pyramids of Giza. In fact, it is thought to be the oldest man-made structure on Earth. There's a lot of mystery surrounding this ancient structure, and it was only discovered as recently as 2003 when a pilot crashed his plane near its location in the Mpumalanga Mountains. Nobody knows how they built it. However, they speculate that it was built by an ancient vanished civilization that used it for timekeeping, much like a calendar. How could such an ancient civilization design something as advanced as this? Also, it is so similar to Stonehenge in Britain. How on earth could two civilizations living thousands of kilometers apart with no contact with each other build something so similar? Let me know what you think down below.
Clearly we had another form of travel.
This year, I went into Doong, which is the world's largest cave. You can fit New York City skyscrapers inside of it. It's so big. It has its own weather system.
What?
Yeah. As a person standing on top of that little pyre. And,
oh my god. My god.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's insane. More people have summited Everest than have been through that cave.
Where is this?
So it's in the Annamite mountain range between Vietnam and Laos. That was only discovered in 1995. It's this massive opening, 6 miles of underground cave You know, you don't see daylight for 2 days.
6 miles.
And like, look at the size of it. Those
Tents?
are little tents. People.
Oh, those are tents.
There's full lake systems in there.
That's inside the cave?
Yeah.
Wild.
In Turkey, you have something called Gobekli Tepe. Now, it's been made famous because why? It predates even Sumerian culture. They're saying now, history isn't 6,000 years old. We can go back to 13,000 now because we know this was an advanced culture 13,000 years ago. But over there's also another place called Kahane Tepe. Kahane Tepe, in my opinion, is even older. They have these gigantic stone pillars, and on these pillars are etched animals that are not from that region. How did people know what the animals look like in other parts of the world to etch them into these gigantic megalithic stone pillars? Pretty interesting. And the other thing about that area is the majority of it was covered up by sand, but not sand from the area. Somebody covered that entire area with sand from over 400 miles away.
This place can hold up to 80,000 cubic meters of water. And although it looks like a building, we are actually underground. This is the Basilica Cistern in Istanbul. And if you're ever in the city, I highly recommend you visit this place. It is very, very interesting. It is located approximately 150 meters from the Hagia Sophia, and it was constructed in the 5th century to hold water for the city of Constantinople. Although it's one of many cisterns, this is the largest one by far. If you're going to be visiting this place, I highly recommend you book your tickets online before arriving. It will save you a lot of queuing up. After the fall of Constantinople, the cistern was kind of forgotten about, to only be discovered much later on and be nicknamed by the Turks as the Underground Palace. And for those of you who are James Bond fans, you might recognize it from the film From Russia With Love. There are plenty of art exhibitions that go on in there, as you can see here. But at the same time, this big face here you see, no one really knows where it's from. It's believed to have been repurposed by the Byzantines. There are also some very interesting columns down there. Now, when you go down there, it is pretty dark, but they have these really cool ambient lights that change color every now and then, which gives you this very kind of relaxing feeling. So make sure to put this on your list for places to visit in Istanbul.
Gorgeous, and it's only holding water. It's more beautiful than half the stuff we live in.
One of Turkey's most intriguing archaeological wonders can be found on Mount Nemrut in southern Aduman province. The mysterious obelisk limestone faces of ancient gods from Greek and Persian mythology, as well as a Hellenistic king, peer out at the vastness of the eastern Taurus Mountains from the summit of the almost 7,000-foot tall peak. The gigantic sculptures are part of a temple tomb built as a shrine to King Antiochos I of Commagene, approximately 49 BC. The mysterious 2-meter heads were hurled from their bodies due to earthquakes and most likely iconoclasm. Several heads have had their noses severed, indicating that they might have been destroyed by early Christians or Muslims. For nearly 2 millennia, these silent witnesses to history have kept their truths hidden. Archaeologists are still unsure how the statues were built without modern technology, or where Antiochos' body is located within the intricate tomb complex.
It's a running theme. We don't know how they did it. We don't know how they did it. Oh yeah, it was hammer and chisel.
I don't think people understand just how incredible Derinkuyu truly is. Let's dive into the depths of Turkey's hidden underground city. Imagine stumbling upon a city carved entirely underground. Derinkuyu was discovered by accident in 1963, revealing a sprawling labyrinth that could house up to 20,000 people. This ancient marvel boasts 18 stories descending into the earth, complete with living quarters, stables, and even a church. It's a testament to human ingenuity and survival, built to protect its inhabitants from invaders. With air shafts, ventilation systems, and secret passages, Derinkuyu is nothing short of a subterranean wonder. Next time you think of ancient mysteries, remember, sometimes the most amazing places are hidden right beneath our feet. Want to explore more hidden gems? Hit that subscribe button.
I don't know about you, but I'm fascinated by this.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Arsonists set fire to Easter Island, charring and cracking the sacred moral figures. The damage can't be undone. The fire is believed to have been started deliberately. A fire set on Easter Island has badly damaged the sacred moral statues, some irreparably, according to the director of the park. The blaze was set deliberately on Monday around the Ranuraku volcano. All the fires on Rapa Nui are caused by human beings. The damage caused by the fire can't be undone. The cracking of an original and emblematic stone cannot be recovered. no matter how many millions or euros or dollars are put into it. Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, there's so many mysteries around Easter Island. I have an episode planned on that, and a lot to cover with that. And a lot of these places we're going to get more into. This was sort of just an introduction of some of the places we're going to be looking at, because I do believe that our history is a complete lie, and it's always changing. And even if it isn't a deliberate lie, it's people making errors. It's human error that is causing these dates. Because we already know that carbon dating is wrong. We know that there's not a lot of validity to it anymore. So with these estimations with how old things are, I think we got to take that with a grain of salt, right? So when we look at some of the common themes of these ruins that they excavate, is the level of masonry that goes into it is astonishing. And we have either slipped that far from our true potential, or these civilizations were a lot more advanced. But you know what I think is funny is whenever they excavate something and find something like this, it always, like using the cistern for an example, the beauty and the detail and the love that went into it for something as seemingly pedestrian as a water cistern. Whereas today, everything is so drab and uninspired. You know, it's the way that we do things now. It's not even close to how they did things back then. They really wanted everything to be beautiful. And you notice that they never dig up a fucking Denny's. They never dig up a fast food place. They never dig up a fucking warehouse or something like that. Every time they dig something up, it's this long-lasting, beautiful ruins of something that, and they don't know how they did it, you know. So I'm just fascinated by this, so. But yeah, but that's all I got today, guys. I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I'm not really sure, like I said, if there'll even be another one on this platform. I might switch over to Rumble. I'm not sure. I want to know what you guys think about the YouTube predicament that I'm in. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll see you again in the next one. Maybe not. I'm not really sure yet. But until then, 80 Canadian, signing off.